Orcs Must Die Deathtrap is the latest entry in the Orcs Must Die series, combining fast-paced third-person combat with strategic tower defense mechanics. With brand new features, expanded progression system, and co-op play for up to 4 players, this game aims to take the franchise to the next level. But does it succeed or does it fail? Let's dive in and find out. But before we do that, I want to say that my history with Orcs Must Die is almost non-existent, so I can't really compare this game to the previous games as I haven't played Orcs Must Die 3 and my time with the other games is very little, though I might go back to those older games in the future just to check them out and maybe even make videos on them as well. Orcs Must Die Deathtrap, continuing the tradition of blending action, strategy, and chaos. It's still about setting up deadly traps and using your character's abilities to wipe out waves of enemies. In this game, you'll have a roguelite progression system, some customization options as well for your characters, and by that I mean there's 2 choices between your outfit, and you unlock the second choice by completing a challenge. For those new to the series, here's how it works. You take control of a war mage, place traps before each wave, and then when you're ready to start the wave, you can start it anytime you want, and then using your weapons, spells, and the traps that you placed, you gotta hold off enemy hordes. You can also use barricades to make enemies go the path that you want them to, and not go ways where you don't want them to go. The barricades aren't very tall though, so any enemy that can fly, and some certain enemies that can jump will jump over your barricade or fly over your barricade. Certain flying enemies do try to get to your rift or your crystal to destroy it, but most of the enemies that jump over the barricades try to target you and take you out instead of your crystal or try to get into the rift. The core gameplay mechanics are pretty satisfying. You can set up an array of deadly traps like spikes, fire pits, springboards, ceiling crossbows, grinders, arrow traps, and many more. And then you can use your war mage's weapons and abilities to fight alongside them to make sure orcs don't get what you're trying to defend. There are a good amount of trap synergies where making use of certain traps together can create deadly combinations, allowing for some really creative and devastating trap setups. Unfortunately, that's also where this game manages to somehow slightly succeed but then slightly fail at the same time, because there are a variety of traps, but somehow there just doesn't feel like there's enough of them. Some of the traps unfortunately just feel a bit samey. Is samey a real word? I don't actually know, but I'm just gonna use it anyway because I don't care. You have a variety of different war mages to choose from, each with their own unique abilities and weapons. One might favor ranged attacks while another excels at melee combat. This adds some more replayability to the game and lets you find the right character for your playstyle. The combat feels smooth with responsive controls and impactful attacks. Each hit and trap activation is satisfying, especially when you create the perfect defense. Unfortunately though, some of the war mage's abilities, I found myself never bothering to use them as they didn't seem to do very much or really do anything interesting, to be honest. All war mages also come with a predetermined trap that is set to the character, and most of them are kind of useless. Like one character has a trap that if you activate it, it just like hovers you in the air, which is okay. I mean, I don't really see any use to use it. And on top of that, there is also a card that you can get that lets you do extra damage during your run while you're in the air, but that's really only for your primary attacks, as you can't use any of your abilities while you're in the air. So that one just seems a bit useless. And there's also one where it teleports you back to the rift or the crystal that you're defending if you go too far out, so you can like place a trap way out away from your crystal or your rift and then use it to teleport back to the crystal or rift. I found myself never really using that because there wasn't really any point of going very far away from the crystal or the rift, so those particular 2 traps just were pretty much useless. The maps are nicely built and look nice, but some of them seem like there's a lot more to explore and more to the map, but because you're limited with the amount of barricades that you can use and where your objectives are placed, you might not even ever see all of the map unless for some reason you decide to just explore the map during a wave or something. because you're kind of really limited to where you can build and where you can stay. I mean, I like most of the maps, and they each give you different environments to build in that require you to come up with different strategies, and it's nice that sometimes it could be raining and the rain looks nice, but I feel like there should be a few more maps. There's also a museum map, which I didn't really like. I played on it twice, and both times I did not like the map. I don't know what about it exactly, but I just didn't like to build on it. I didn't like the way it felt. I just didn't like the museum map, so I tried to never play on that map again. One of the biggest things that adds replayability in the game is its progression system. The game incorporates roguelite elements, meaning each run gives you the opportunities to upgrade and modify your traps, abilities, and weapons. As you play, you unlock new upgrades, but some of them only persist for that session, forcing you to make strategic choices on how to build your defenses. So basically, after each wave, you can select a card that will give you an upgrade for that run. Your run ends after you defeat the boss at the end of multiple levels, each level lasting about 6 waves. Unless you, of course, lose, then your run will end immediately. As you play, you will also get golden skulls and normal skulls. The golden skulls unlock new traps, and normal skulls unlock many different things, such as new upgrade cards. You can use them to also upgrade your traps, or there's also a skill tree where you can spend your skulls to get permanent upgrades to your stats, like starting with more coin, having more health, or traps do more damage permanently. Orcs Must Die Deathtrap supports up to 4-player co-op, and as always, playing any game with friends is always more fun than playing by yourself. But if you play this game with randoms, it can be tough sometimes because the barricades are split between each player, so if someone decides to waste their barricades or do something dumb with them, then there isn't much you can do about it. It also sometimes can be tougher to survive with random people than just by yourself. Visually, Orcs Must Die Deathtrap looks pretty good. The environments are well detailed, and I particularly like how the water looks. I mean, any game that has water that looks like this game, I just automatically like the visuals. I don't know, something about water that's very blue and looks like this I just really like. The game also offers a variety of settings for each map, including day and night versions of the maps, and also a chance of rain. The art style strikes a balance between fantasy and cartoonish exaggeration, which fits the game's tone well. Animations are smooth and trap effects are visually satisfying, making it fun to watch your defenses obliterate waves of enemies. That said, the art style does come with a small drawback. It gives the game a somewhat generic look at times. While it doesn't look bad by any means, it doesn't have a particularly distinct visual identity compared to other fantasy or tower defense games. I mean, it's colorful and it's polished, but it doesn't necessarily stand out. As for performance, the game runs really well for the most part, even with dozens of enemies on the screen and multiple traps triggering at once. I hardly noticed any major slowdowns running the game at 4K max settings on my RTX 4070 Ti. I consistently hit around 90 to 100 FPS, which is great, but I did encounter an odd issue where my frame rate would randomly drop to the 20s or 30s a few times, requiring me to minimize the game and click back into it to fix it. I'm not entirely sure what caused that issue, but it was a rare occurrence and didn't really affect my overall experience too much. Overall, Orcs Must Die Deathtrap delivers good visuals and a smooth performance, with only minor issues that don't significantly impact the gameplay. Also, didn't really encounter bugs or glitches now that I think about it. I don't think I encountered a single bug or a single glitch, besides that random frame rate issue, but other than that, there was no bugs or glitches, and I'm not even sure you'd consider that a bug or a glitch, so I don't know if I got lucky or just this game is very well made to where there's really hardly any bugs or glitches, which is a nice thing to see nowadays. So is Orcs Must Die Deathtrap worth playing? Well, that really depends on whether you're a fan of the series or just like action-packed tower defense games. If you don't like tower defense games in general, well, you're probably not going to like this game. But that was probably already a given. There's definitely fun to be had, the trap mechanics are satisfying, the gameplay loop is engaging, and the progression system keeps you coming back. With that said, the game does have its flaws. It can feel a bit repetitive after a while, and I think it could really benefit from more traps and more maps. Despite that, I put over 10 hours into the game so far, playing a run with each character, and I can see myself continuing to play the game. Deathtrap has even made me want to go and check out the previous Orcs Must Die games and see what they're like. However, there's one major factor to consider about this game, and that is that its price is 30 USD. I don't think there's quite enough content here to justify that price tag. It feels more like a $15 game to me. If you're interested, I'd recommend waiting for a sale, unless you have Game Pass, which is how I've been playing the game. Overall, Orcs Must Die Deathtrap is fun, but it could use a bit more content to truly feel like a great value. If you're into this type of game, you'll likely enjoy it, but maybe hold off until there's a discount. Anyways, that's going to be it for this video, so hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to hit that like button, leave a comment below, tell me what you think about Orcs Must Die Deathtrap and this video, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button because you want to be subscribed, and I'll see you next time.